You're watching Force 13's live streaming service. And it's 11 o'clock here at Force 13 HQ. My name's Nathan Foy. Hello, good evening. And you're looking at the Force 13 webcam there, over here in the UK, and here's me. And also joined by the Skype team over there somewhere, joining us again for the second hour of our coverage on Tropical Storm Harvey and whatever's left of Good, though I don't think that will be coming up in conversation very much anymore, and we'll be looking more at the Invest, and of course we'll be taking your comments and questions. We do encourage them if you have any for us. As I say, here is what Harvey looks like right now as it moves closer towards Barbados, and it's making progress as well. It's now only around 122 miles east or east-northeast of Barbados, and looks like rainfall and wind will start to occur there very soon, if not already. I did see one or two comments saying that they hadn't witnessed anything going on there yet, so we'll stay tuned on that. In this hour we're joined by Dane, Isaac, David, Craig and Hank. Good evening. Hank was the one you were listening to near the end of the last hour, and we've not heard from Isaac in a while, so I'll start with you, if that's okay.
Okay. Well, we're obviously, Gertz is no more. Also the same with Typhoon Banyan.
Yes, that hasn't got
been the case
mentioned
for a
so
little
far
bit.
either.
Banyan should be moving over towards the Lucian Islands there, not hitting it, but like going near it, and then eventually making its way towards the coast areas of mainland Alaska later on as an extratropical storm. Yeah, that's what the models are saying on it. Then we have Gert is dead. Then we have Harvey now, which is the main concern at this point. And then we have the Central Pacific area of interest. What Dane is showing, the TCFA, I think that is the Tropical Cyclone Formation Alert.
Formation Alert there.
Yep, just and then we also have one. We also have one in the Eastern Pacific too. I forgot what the chances are on that one were though. And we also have the active Atlantic right now too.
It's 60% in the next 48 hours, 80% in the next 5 days.
So that looks like it's going to be another East Pacific tropical storm there.
I was looking at a model runs and they're forecasting it to become a tropical storm. So we'll see what happens with that one. I don't really know what else to say, so I'm going to give it to Hank, I guess.
Well, actually, I just need to bring it back first of all, because I just need to announce the warnings that are currently in effect. For Harvey, a tropical storm warning for Martinique, St. Lucia, Barbados and St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and a tropical storm watch for Dominica. And those warnings, well, if the storm keeps... I mean, you remember when we were tracking, I think it might have been Don, or one of the other storms, and it ended up tracking further south than what the forecast was saying. Do you think Harvey might do that as well and trigger some watches or warnings along the South American coast yet again?
I honestly don't really think so, because if anything, the track might have to deviate a little bit further north in the short term. Long term, it can stay where it is, but
At the moment, it appears to me to be moving due west.
yeah,
It could be on track for Barbados landfall, actually.
it could. But as you can tell, my commentary right now is rather dull, so I'm sorry about that. I think that it will probably stay on track. It's pretty tight knit for these next. I would say it's pretty tight knit within the next couple days. Really, the entire forecast track is. So I can't really see this deviating any farther south than what the model consensus says, and none of the models say it will get really close to South America. If anything, it will move north. So I don't think this will be like Brett or Don or anything like that. So
Here's an interesting question. If all the models are wrong, why don't you start your own model? Well, first of all...
I don't think we can launch satellites
First of all...
into space, can we?
Not satellites, models, computer models. First of all, the models aren't wrong all of the time, and not right all the time either. But you get the model consensus, and the model consensus is pretty tight-knit that Harvey will move into the Western Caribbean and make landfall in Central America somewhere. We don't quite know what intensity. They still need to do a little bit more work on intensity sometimes. But if we made our own model, it would be probably worse than all the others, so, you know.
yeah,
And that would cost money too.
Yeah, something like that.
So the model consensus right now shows it moving due west. Our model will probably just like take a recurve right now, so you never know.
But I do, you know, it is funny to see sometimes how much money is spent on computer models and the supercomputers needed to run them. Millions. And they're still not always right. You'd expect for all that money they'd get it right a little bit more, but hey, there we go. Nature is so complicated.
Yeah, the GFS was actually worse after the upgrade.
Yeah. How is that so?
A quote-unquote upgrade.
Alright, who's showing us this? We got a
Dan.
decent view of the models.
Yep,
here.
it's me. It's
Yeah,
me.
Craig tried to show us these early on, but unfortunately his signal gave out.
Well, I can show us the models right now if you like.
Yeah, but well, we did that early on in the first hour, so for any new people joining us, they can take a look as well, and we can get a proper look here.
Yeah, actually, can you switch to 10-meter winds, because 850 millibars can kind of be a little bit deceiving, because it shows
Yeah, sure.
in actuality. Okay.
Alright, so we're seeing Harvey moving into Belize there.
As a wave.
Silly GFS.
Hold on. Early in that model run, does Harvey dissipate real quickly there? There's okay. No, it's still alive. Probably tropical depression there.
It dissipates, I think, quite about
Then
there.
it's just about it's gone by that point, long gone.
It actually it dissipates right at pretty much 70 west. If you look at the wind bars, you can kind of tell that the circulation opens up.
Around there.
Yeah, kind of.
Mm.
You can see how it's moving. You see how it's moving straight south and not straight west.
So it's going to struggle. I mean,
Right in here.
do
Yeah,
you think that's fair, Hank? That it's going to struggle that much?
Maybe not that.
Given
I mean,
the
GFS
conditions.
is kind of. Well, I mean, GFS does downplay the Atlantic a lot now, so I don't think it'll be that bad.
Yeah, and in return, it makes Noru 865 millibar typhoon.
Yeah. Let's just move on from that and forget that ever happened.
The GFS will want to.
Yeah.
Anyway, now what we're looking at here.
Well, actually, stay here. Just stay here. Might give a view for this.
DCMWF. And you can see 92L there as well. Where's that going?
Looks like it basically takes 92L to dissipate, but it moves
Yeah.
future 93L
Oh goodness.
whatever. Basically, recurves it near the Antilles and Bermuda. Seems to dissipate it in a pretty similar point to Gert.
And
So-
then what does Harvey do there? It looks like it intensifies significantly until a landfall in northern Mexico.
Basically, looks like it's.
It opens
Looks
up.
like Europe basically has it struggling until landfall, but then once it crosses, it basically rapidly strengthens.
Wow.
So what I can tell from that is that it opens up around 70 west, but then it starts to get its act together a lot in the Gulf of Honduras and becomes a tropical storm as it hits Belize. Past then, it's too far out to determine. Then again, the European did get Franklin pretty much on the money, so I mean, you never really know at this stage.
And whilst that's going on, that's 92L in the Atlantic there, was it? Heading northeast. And that draws
Yeah,
pretty
92L
close,
pretty much
close
dies
to,
off
pretty
right-
close to
Right on this
Newfoundland.
frame.
Pretty close to Newfoundland. As
And
a
then there's
significant
93L.
system. Yeah, okay. Let's move on.
Different model. Let's go with the Canadian for the sake of.
Oh, no.
dear.
Oh dear.
Oh no.
Get the padded cell made up and get straight jackets.
For the sake of using the Canadian.
Oh no.
I'll talk about it.
Okay, so develops all three, no doubt. Oh my goodness. That's worst case scenario,
Oh, boy.
folks.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah, look at that. Predicting the-
Really?
Yeah,
Seriously,
but
CMC?
Look how far out that is also, so...
Yeah.
200
What pressure's that?
hours.
What pressure was
That's
that?
hour 240.
What was the pressure of
Here?
92L when it was making landfall?
Jesus.
Down here or up here?
At peak.
The peak that it has here is 968.
Oh yeah. Probably category 2 then, but that is the CMC model, which is right around 0.00001% of the time.
Accurate.
Well,
Oh, here we go.
I wouldn't exactly say that because it's good. It's good with track forecasts once the storm forms. Apart from that,
NavCam basically just kills Harvey, period.
Now wait, no, but 92 there becomes a significant system and recurves.
I'll just stop explaining because you guys is a buzzkill anyways.
And then it recurves away from the Lesser Antilles.
Oh joy.
Yeah, okay. Let's
I
not
don't
show.
know what.
Let's not show this model.
Oh no.
What?
Well, what does it
What?
show?
No.
People have the right to know.
We have rights.
Then let's change regions, probably. Where
Well,
should we go?
well,
Is that a wise
No,
idea?
well, take a look at the Central Pacific and see what's going on with those invests.
Bet you none of the models are forming.
Now there's the East Pac system there developing and moving off well out to sea.
Yeah.
90.
Yeah, but it basically just kills 90C, 91C, basically.
Yeah, they don't survive.
Pretty much just kills them.
I don't think it's that that kills them, it's the subtropical jet.
And the
now-
European does not seem to be very much more
No,
optimistic
but
with it at
they
all.
all want the Eastern Pacific system to form now.
Why?
Yeah, they all seem to want to form it.
Yep.
Canadian.
Did you just... I thought you just said...
There it is going off again.
I don't think the Canadian
Weaker,
even
no.
supports it.
Yeah, and but no, but what is that moving away and forming
It's
over in the
going-
Western Pacific after its origins in the Central Pacific there? Look at it go.
No, CMC is crazy. You know, it's, as Hank would call it, way too much cyclonic vorticity.
850 millibar cyclonic vorticity. I'm
Which
sorry.
is at impossible readings. Period.
Hmm?
Yeah, it doesn't look like anything really supports any of the Central Pacific invest. They all seem to be optimistic about the Eastern Pacific one, though.
So it appears. Well, they love the Eastern Pacific, the models, and
Yeah.
it's been a busy one there so far, hasn't it?
We should check the West Pacific, because why not?
Yeah,
And,
I mean, whilst we're at it,
Okay.
and I'm just sorting a few things out over here before I bring you back with the latest.
I'm going to put a bet there and say none of the models predict anything.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's really anything here on GFS anyway.
I'm winning the bet so far.
And people usually expect the West Pacific to be quite active all the time, but it's been drips and drabs this year, hasn't it?
I'll stuff.
Interesting.
Oh gosh.
Yours seems to want to develop, isn't it, 92W, I think it is?
Two rule latitude. 82W.
Right there.
92W, that's not it, is it?
That's
No.
not 82W.
I think it is.
Well,
Since I don't see anything.
92W is already above 30 north.
Exactly.
Oh, 92W is near Japan. Then, yeah. 92W is screwed.
Okay.
And yet that's put 100 plus in the reserve, so it's questionable. The deadly silence.
Well,
It is.
All right. Well, I think we've looked at that quite sufficiently now. Now we're looking at the
Yeah, not even CMC.
latest radar in the area for
They
Harvey.
stop.
And you can
It
see
seems-
Harvey moving in on the right hand side there, approaching Barbados, and some rainfall approaching, if not occurring, on the southern half of that island, and just little bits here and there throughout the rest of the islands as well. As you can see, it's a small system. You can see it here on the radar. It's a small system moving in, but it could cause some tropical storm force winds, particularly in Barbados, I'd suggest. With some rainfall, but unless it unexpectedly intensifies some, I don't think it's going to be wind-wise particularly significant, but rainfall could again be an issue like we've seen earlier in the year. We'll just leave that up for a moment or two whilst something else occupies the screen and whilst it loads. Who's doing this?
me. It's
So
wind shear.
Yep, wind shear here. Anyone want to offer their thoughts on that chart?
And it's favorable.
I think you can. So I think this really illustrates that upper level I was talking about earlier. Just look at that over eastern Cuba. Like, you can really tell where it is, and you can also see that other trough, the Tut even, to the north of both Harvey and 92L. That's what's gonna shear 92L. That is what is shearing somewhat of Harvey.
I know it does
And-
get confusing. I almost called it something else as well.
Yeah, so it does look favorable until it gets to 71,
Yeah.
and then just frowns off. But remember, this graphic can change, and as the upper level always moves west, naturally in between two troughs you get ridging, and what that could do is could induce even more shear over the system. But it depends where in the troposphere it decides to develop.
The funny
If
thing
it's-
is, on the National Hurricane Center's forecast cone, they think that intensification will occur as it passes 70 west. They say 50 miles per hour at 69 west, and then 65 miles an hour by the time it gets to 77 west.
What's their reasoning on it?
I've not actually looked at what their reasoning for that is, but that's just what they say. But they say light moderate shear should continue to at least 72 hours. And I think they're just following the ships and the LGEM models.
The last thing you want to do is follow the ships.
I know.
Why?
They do acknowledge
Here's a better look at them.
They do acknowledge that GFS and ECMWF models still forecast degeneration to an easterly wave over the central Caribbean. But the National Hurricane Center following the trend of the ship's LGEM models. And the reason why they've not made it a hurricane this time is because they are factoring in the model's output from the GFS and ECMWF.
Well, also that, and they're shifted their forecast cone farther south, hence hitting land. So that's probably another reason why they don't have it as a hurricane.
And this is a closer look at the two systems, 92L right here, Harvey right here. You can see the wind shear up there that Hank was talking about, and then kind of see the other wind shear over here towards the left near Haiti and Dominican Republic. And just a closer look. Meanwhile, while we're at it, let's look at Eastern Pacific if it'll load. Okay, there's Eastern Pacific, and you can see how the Eastern Pacific is looking right now. If you have any thoughts on that.
Well, let me just take a quick look at your screen share. Yeah, mess.
I've noticed one or two little comments about, obviously with the invests going on and one or two taking them out to sea, do you think there'll be any risk for Bermuda in the next week or two?
Depends on what 92L wants to do. If it wants to actually get its act together, which I think it's yes, it could be.
And people who haven't seen our streams before may not be accustomed to the tropical meteorology. You see on this image, Harvey's in the middle, one of the smallest ones. On the right-hand side is 92L. On the left-hand side, would you like to tell them about that system there, which seems to be the biggest, as you'd see in aerial coverage?
That is non-tropical. That's associated with the upper level low, but it's just firing a bunch of convection as the so what's going on is the winds are coming out of the Caribbean, but then they're hitting Hispaniola, and thus the air is rising and creating a bunch of thunderstorms. So that's why there's a bunch of convective activity right there.
How is that affecting Harvey's strength, motion, size at all?
Motion for now, yes, but motion is mostly based on the trade winds, and it's not really affecting it now, but eventually that low will start to slow down, and Harvey will be faster than the lows moving itself. Then Harvey will start getting influenced by it and more specifically, start getting sheared by it. And for those who don't know what shear is, it's basically upper level winds that are moving in different directions from the winds at the surface. So what that does, that tends to kind of push off some of the thunderstorms or make them, say, shorter.
Yeah.
And that's favorable for storms to strengthen and to get their organized shapes, and can take longer for them to get out of it and then strengthen.
Now we look at this imagery here, and you can see all those orange areas and some red areas there denoting dry air, or at least less moist air. Caribbean doesn't look all that bad, but the area in front of 92L not great.
Yeah.
And, well, what do you think of the HWRF's latest run that says it will intensify to a Category 1 moving west towards the Florida Keys.
Which one is this?
This was the latest HWRF run for 92L.
Okay, 92. It probably does it keep it weak at first?
A weak tropical storm for about 3 days. Yep.
Well, there you go.
Yep.
So if it gets stronger, then it can interact with that trough more and get slingshotted to the northeast and recurve. So if this does become a tropical storm, it'd be weak until it gets into the Bahamas area. If it's already a thing by then it could strengthen more.
And that 92L is the one denoted by the orange cone there on the National Hurricane Center's map. As you can see, there's that other area of interest just south of the Cape Verde Islands at the moment, which could do something later on, day 4 and 5, 30% chance. And then, of course, you've got Harvey and what's left of Gert, which is gone, and we won't be mentioning it very much. Just to reiterate then, we have tropical storm warnings in effect for several places. Tropical storm warnings for Martinique, St. Lucia, Barbados and St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and a tropical storm watch for Dominica. And as you can see there, 80% chance for that disturbance in the eastern Pacific as well in the next 5 days. A tropical storm warning means that tropical storm conditions are expected somewhere within the warning area in the next 24 hours. In Barbados, it will be less than 12 hours. A tropical storm watch means that the tropical storm conditions are possible within the watch area within 24 to 36 hours. Again, probably could be less than that. And as we bring us up back with the radar, if we can, of what's going on right now as Harvey enters the picture, and we'll keep you up to date with that. I'll see if I can get a new version of that imagery actually. And there's the latest on Gert, moving off towards the central northern Atlantic, far away from anything. Here's more recent radar imagery of what's going on. It looks like the bulk of the rainfall from Harvey is northeast of Barbados and may continue to be northeast of Barbados, and we'll just bring you back with that track map again, just in case you haven't seen it yet, what Harvey is expected to do according to the National Hurricane Center. And it's funny that they have it as I think they're underestimating its movement again there, much like with Brett, I believe, saying on that track map that it would take until 5 AM Friday Eastern Time. Is that Eastern Time? Atlantic Standard Time. For it to get near Barbados, but by the looks of things right now, the current time is... What time is it over there? It's 4 hours? 5 hours?
6:28 Eastern. The 6:28 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, so, you know, it's... I'm looking at the map right now, and it's on the radar. It looks as though it's almost at the point at that first landfall dot where they say it's going to be tomorrow morning. So it's moving in on Barbados very quickly, and it's going to be, you know, the next 1-2 hours that Barbados will feel effects from the storm. Maximum effects, whatever they may be, maybe in 2 to 3 hours, maybe 4. Before it moves away and then onto the rest of those islands overnight. But yeah, I just see that the National Hurricane Center's saying it's going to move a lot more slowly than it is. Anyway, if you've got any comments or questions for us, do send them in. Start your message with Force 13 all in text, and it will light up for me, and we can sift out the comments better, at least for my convenience. And oh, there's another view of the model spread, and 1 or 2 just clipping the southern coast of Jamaica there as well. Now, we saw another model consensus map earlier, and some of them did take them further north than what that one was just showing. Anyway, we'll move on. What are we looking at now? Are we going back to them?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get it. The computer's really slow.
Alright.
Seems to be having technical issues.
Just a little bit slow over there. I can't help that.
Maybe because it's Skype. It's all their fault. Blame Skype.
Something like that. David, have you got anything to offer us in this moment of quiet?
Got nothing, Nathan.
Okay.
My computer's also slow.
Well, if
It's
anyone
Skype.
fancies buying our members new equipment, they'll be much appreciated of, I'm sure. Anyway, are we getting onto this or what?
I don't know.
I'm trying.
Well, that's not the view
trying
right now.
to-
Okay, there we go.
He's trying his damnedest, but Skype won't let him.
So yeah,
Finally.
there's
And
another
now
view.
just,
There's another view, and you can see how some of those models take it further north and into Texas even,
oh god.
and lots of
Okay, I'm gonna
comments
turn off my
elsewhere.
screen
I see.
I got to have screen share.
Isaac's on Discord.
help
Did you
me.
notice?
Help me.
We'll take it elsewhere. Whilst Isaac sorts out that little crisis of his out, back with the radar there. And I don't. Do you think that is the centre of the storm appearing on that radar there?
Maybe. It's really depending on.
Oh, what radar? I don't see anything.
That we're able to see. I mean, you'd have to watch the stream to see it, but
Oh.
I think it is actually.
yeah,
I
I
don't
think
know. The storm looks awful small from that angle. It seems a little bit too small for the pressure that it has on its advisory cone.
it is showing quite a large area, though.
It is.
Anyway, back to that model, and that's changed again since we last saw it. What's different this time?
This
It
is
looks
this
like
is
they
the-
geared it back
the
further
CM
north, I think.
This is a different model thing. This is the CMC, I believe. This is ensemble models. So
Oh boy, CMC.
look at this one over here.
All right, a lot of people
That
mentioning.
one should probably just be
A lot of people mentioning the
ignored
CMC.
because
I
it's
just
so
want to
crazy.
read out some comments. The previous run of the CMC picked up the area of disturbance north of Cuba, pushing it towards the Florida Keys, the tropical system. Any comments?
No.
Oh,
No.
they don't.
No
want to comment.
comments.
They don't think it will happen. I highly doubt that 92L will recurve before Florida. That trough is not expected to move down before the landfall, in inverted commas. Any input on that, guys?
92 hours probably going to be dead. Just look at that. Look at that dry air right there. And then
For now.
it's going to be a shared. It's going to be a shared mess. I mean, if it somehow does like a 99L of last year and gets under this and then comes out, it might be something. But it's like too far out to say that it'll be anything. So, but for now, we're expecting this to kind of struggle, and we'll see what happens over the next few days. And we obviously know what's going to happen with Harvey down here.
Oh,
And,
a quick one for you, Isaac. Did you think that Gert was a Category 3?
Yeah, definitely. It had that appearance, albeit for a short time. It had that appearance for a little bit. And if I scroll up over here, you might be able to see the post-tropical Gert up there on the top of your screen, right there. The racing on off towards the northeast.
Yeah, long gone.
Yeah, that position has definitely changed since the 5 p.m. advisory. It's moving quickly.
It's moving at 40 miles an hour.
And is there any... Do we have any consensus in here about how strong we think Harvey will be? What do you
I think
guys
it's too
I mean,
early to say.
Yeah, I guess it is.
I think we should probably see what it looks like post landfall.
Or post
Since
its
then we're
approach,
going
at
to
least.
have a better idea of what the Eastern Caribbean is going to do to it, and how that shear is going to
And here's another good one.
impact Harvey.
Here's another good one. Do you guys believe
So
that
I think maybe after it makes landfall, we can hone down on that a little more.
Do you guys believe that the models handled GERT well from pre-Genesis to post-Genesis intensity?
Not really. I think they were either too low or too high.
Yeah,
As
that's
the
right.
obvious case with HWRF and HMON.
But yet, you can't really say that because they were almost right.
Well, none of them are right. was
I
they?
mean, the intensity was way higher than it actually was, but everything else was pretty much just as far, if not farther off. Which therefore technically makes it the closest. So it wasn't a very good close.
It was a bit of a stupid forecast scenario. H1 being one of them. Definitely being one of them. 60 miles an hour.
Craig, you're muttering to yourself over there. Okay, now we've got typing. Wonderful. Yeah, we're sort of hit a little bit of a wall here. But there's the model consensus again. And you can see there is quite a split. There's not really that many models in between. It's quite populated at either end of that intensity guidance, at low and high.
Don't mind this model over here. If it just take this model's out.
All right,
Just get rid of TCLP.
Some more interesting questions. We like them, by the way. Do you believe the GFS Euro upgrade impeded forecasts with tropical cyclones? Ensembles seem to be doing a bit better this season. Any thoughts on that?
Not for me.
I think the GFS is going to go under a major restructuring since the upgrade. Yep.
Okay.
I need one for worldwide because the forecast for Norway was completely preposterous. It needs one badly worldwide for all the bases. The Atlantic's not that bad, but Westpac, whooped.
And I think we all know which storm looked the best this year, say Second World. Any guesses which? Good, he says.
I'm reading the comments in the stream.
I'm guessing
so
you mean
I
for the
knew what they
Atlantic
were
only. Some East Pacific storms looked better, of course, but I'm sure you mean the Atlantic. I mean, it didn't have much of a contest, did it? Alright, more questions. More questions, let's take them. Do we think 92L could have a chance up near southeast Florida? Well, the HWRF thinks so.
Let's see that once here again.
Possibility.
I mean, if it gets under that, if it somehow does a 99L, it gets under that wind shear. It might try doing something, but like I said before, it's kind of too far out to tell that. So, but for now, it's gonna be struggling for the next few days, and then again, Harvey. We know what Harvey's gonna do. Might as well pull up the check again for you guys in case you didn't see it before. Again, there's a check for Harvey. NHC expects it to peak at 70 miles an hour. Earlier, it had it peaking at 75 miles an hour. You can see that warnings all the way over here. I keep forgetting what these islands are, but there's Barbados right there under a tropical storm warning. Yeah. If you look over towards the Central Pacific, we could see my computer will work with me. You can see we have a disturbance in the Central Pacific has a 50% chance in the next 48 hours, and to the next 5 days it has a 60% chance of development. So, but earlier yesterday it had, I believe, a 80% chance within the next 5 days, but it's gone lower a little bit.
It down, didn't they?
Yeah, And then in the Eastern Pacific, we have another area of interest, 60%.
Almost definitely going to form, isn't it?
Pretty much. Models are forecasting
So
to
if
come
that's
back.
the models, then yes.
And then if we go back...
Yeah, we got to put on some questions here. Well, Tropics Tracker tells me that they think Harvey will be 85 miles an hour. Could be a good call. Someone wants to know about the tropical wave near Hispaniola, which we mentioned. Hank said it was not tropical. And was associated with the upper level.
If you guys wanted to see the intensity models again, if you didn't see it, for that guy Tropics Tracker, you could see what the models are thinking of its intensity.
And about a comment about Katrina. That 92L will be Katrina. No. I don't see it.
Just no more.
And
Rapid typing over there.
People talking about predictions for the season. I mean, it's never too late to make a prediction. Steven says 15 storms, 7 hurricanes, 3 majors. Not far away from what Force 13 predicts actually for the year. 15, 8 and 4 for us. So pretty close. And do we think this year will still be active? A lot of people saying it's a bust, but it's not over. You're saying it as if the first half of the year has been below average. People have got to realise that the last few years have been ridiculously active compared to the long-range record. Don't forget, overall, in the historic record, the average amount of storms every year is 12, and we're already up to 8.
My God, you realise that
and people keep comparing this season to 2013. 2013 was an entirely different animal. We could expect a little bit more activity in 2013 in here, and it's just because people were just wanting Cape Verde or haven't seen Cape Verde type storms in a while, where they go through the Caribbean and become really strong storms. Last ones we had was Dean and Felix, really, and Matthew as well, kind of too. But people were just wanting those to happen, and I mean, we just gotta wait. It's gonna take a little longer. Just gotta wait. It's just a waiting game. I mean, it's gonna happen inevitably. It's gotta wait for it. And I mean, I really don't want to have another major in the Caribbean. So that's just my opinion. And if anybody has anything else to say, go ahead. Because my screen share went out.
Well, you gotta realize,
Nathan, about that season average. I think the reason that the seasonal average is low might be due to the number of seasons where we didn't really know a lot about storms that went out to sea, and as a result, this brought down the number of storms in earlier seasons during the 18.
Yeah. Well, I know Craig wants to speak. We'll get to that in a moment.
What if we truly knew everything?
I think I mean, can you really
really
account for many of the storms that so far this year that wouldn't have been detected? Arlene wouldn't have been detected.
Arlene?
Can you think of maybe 1 or 2 others, but would still be at 6 or storms, I reckon.
Maybe Anna
20. I think it's
I'm talking about this year.
Oh.
Anyway, Craig, go
ahead. In basically all the unadded possible fish storms during the early years. I think the average would probably be like 13 or 14 named storms.
Okay, but I'll talk more about that shortly. Craig, go ahead.
I was gonna say, folk have been wondering why this year's been somewhat below average. But you gotta realise, this year hasn't had any help from El Niños or La Niñas. Because the past 2 years have had help from full-blown El Niños. So that's the reason why. Because we're stone dead in full, and last year was El Niño. So
people have gotten conditioned to expect strong storms in the Atlantic every year in abundance, and that's just not the case. Doesn't usually happen. It's just what's been going on recently, but we won't labour that point anymore. We're looking at the latest radar imagery of Harvey approaching Barbados, and have we got a centre for it yet? I'm not sure. I don't think so. Hard to tell.
Well, it has to have a center if it's a named storm.
Well, reconnaissance aircraft found one, of course, so it has a centre, but where is it? It's still on near the edge of the scope, so I'm sure we'll see it in due course. Or maybe it is there in plain sight and we just haven't spotted it yet.
Maybe.
Well, it might be there, but we can't be sure about that graphic there.
Mm-hmm. And my Skype is being bad on me, so my screen share is ripped. So if any of you guys have a screen share to pull up, go ahead. I'm out pretty much.
Alright, yeah, let's see. We have some more questions. Let's see, where are we up to? What do you think of 93E right now?
Well, definitely interesting. I mean, unlike with Tropical Storm Hova about a week or two ago, when it had to deal with a whole bunch of basically just like a wall of just high wind shear, this one's in a little bit of a better environment because the wind shear has lessened a little bit, and also it has more moisture to work with than Hova did, so it definitely could become something. Now, I don't know how exactly strong it'll be, but it'll definitely might become a tropical storm, and it should start to see and not really affect land too much. But yeah.
Okay. I'm just trying to fix the imagery. It's not updating at the moment for some reason. We'll get on to that. Let's see, what else have we got? Second World wants to know if any of you follow or know about Mark Sudduth, creator of Hurricane Track. I'm not sure why, but if you have any input, you could.
I think sort of Mark Sudduth mainly because Leighton talks about him on the Discord all the time.
Right. More...
But that's really the only thing that I know. So.
Okay. Another one here. Joe Bastardi tweeted that we may see a CONUS landfall this season, continental United States, mainly in the southeast US, mainly in part with the potential of a positive NAO in September. Do you agree with that idea? Anyone? For
anything's possible.
Well, the early
anything is possible. We'll have to wait and see what happens.
The early season indications for the hurricane season from Force 13 showed that the Outer Banks has a significant chance of a tropical storm affecting it. As for hurricane landfalls, I think we were looking at the Texas-Mexico border, and you could yet verify with Harvey, but you never know with that. Those are the two probable hotspots, and I think you always look at Florida every year. It is probably the most likely place of getting hit by a hurricane in a given year. I mean, how many hurricane landfalls are there? Hundreds. And of course it was the site of the last major hurricane landfall 12 years ago.
Wilma.
In the United States.
Just imagine how many viewers we're going to have here once there finally is a major hurricane landfall in the US.
Well, it won't be about us, of course. We'll just be tracking the tropics and letting everyone know what's going on, as we did with Hurricane Matthew, which was a very crazy 5-day period.
Which was 24-hour coverage.
When we were on air for 104 hours. But there we go.
104 hours?
Yes. Someone tells us in Barbados the winds are picking up, apparently.
That's basically for 4.5 days straight.
Yes, I was talking for 52 of them. It's not great, is it? Anyway, back to the... we're looking at the HWRF here now. Who's showing us this? We've only got a few minutes, we've only got a few minutes left, by the way. We're finishing at the end of this hour, and we'll have more updates throughout tonight. But go ahead.
I think the track is going to go to the north a bit.
Well,
right.
that depends on how...
Go
ahead. Go ahead.
No, it's a little bit too early, but I'm leaning towards what's that? Jamaica.
You think?
Yeah, Jamaica, towards Jamaica.
Well, one or two.
It's going to.
One or two models hinting at it clipping the southern coast of Jamaica and moving on. Now that would indicate a stronger storm. The National Hurricane Center are sort of torn at the moment, aren't they? Because they don't know whether who's going to be right, with the ECMWF and the GFS saying that this storm won't form at all or degenerate, or well, of course it's formed, but it will degenerate. Or with the, what was it, the LGEM, was it? Or was it something else that they went with? Or and the ship's model saying that it will intensify, and the HWRF, which they didn't mention, saying that it will gradually intensify throughout the Caribbean and strike Belize. Hank suggested that it would have to be a major hurricane for it to curve north more than that. So,
and I think personally, because of the low up to the north of it, that'll kind of be steering it. It should stay fairly weak, and because of that, it should stay a little bit more south than, well, not a little bit more south, but should stay more south than north, I would imagine. So unless it decides to intensify a little bit during that, which in that case it could go a little bit north. But in my personal opinion, I think it'll stay just fairly to the south, not really move much north because of that, because of the low to the top kind of steering it and kind of steering it basically due west. But that's just my opinion, and that's what I think might happen with Harvey.
Thank you for that.
I'm going to go the opposite. I'm going to say it's going to track towards Jamaica, because Jamaica has, looking at their weekend rainfall, it is to increase. I reckon Harvey is going to track to the north of Cocoon, possibly edge towards the Yucatan Channel. I do not agree.
North of Cancun.
Yes.
Okay.
Or over it.
Well, that is that's pushing the boat out a bit. Could you bring us back?
And I'm also factoring in, Nathan, the ocean heat content. It's a lot more stronger if it was to adopt a bit of a northerly.
Well, of course, but
move,
wind shear might be high over there.
Well, wind shear, as we know, I haven't looked at the wind shear.
The National Hurricane Center said pretty much that it's okay for 3 days, and then wind shear may or may not pick up. But let me. Oh, okay. What have we got here? That's the wind shear graphic.
I'm just
again, yeah.
Just so people who haven't seen. Sorry to steal your screen, so I'll let you have it back.
70 west.
And if we zoom out a little bit, and then my screen share goes again. Okay.
All right, David, could you come back with? Yeah. I want to see the imagery of 92L right now before we finish up here.
Oh, I have
92L. Okay.
There.
You have it as well.
There's
a picture of the whole scene. Any late imagery of 92L?
Well, I have water vapor, but that's all I have for the latest. If it'll load, bear with me here. There it is.
Yeah,
should be on your screen in a few seconds.
Yeah, we've got it. Well, not much better, I don't think.
Not really. Just a little bit blow up of convection right here, and a 92L kind of struggling with the dry air in front of it right there.
Harvey doesn't look too bad, does it?
Yeah, not really.
Not too bad.
And then you can see
40 miles an hour, maybe 45 at a push.
Let me reload it for you.
Right. What else have we got here? People talking about storm predictions and how the Atlantic's ahead of 2016 so far. Yeah, it's true. Though, how do you think we're doing for ACE compared to 2016? I think Harvey and Gert had a lot to... Not Harvey, Franklin and Gert had a lot to say about that. Any comments on the lackluster West Pacific season so far, apart from Nauru?
Well,
I
That's
think
been-
that 2010 analog is starting to come up in good shape.
Well, maybe.
Since wasn't
Well-
2010 inactive in the West Pacific last time I...
Well, yeah, of course.
It's the
And-
most
but
inactive-
also in the
most
East
inactive.
Pacific is nothing like that this year. But even in quiet years like that, the East Pacific had a Cat 5, the West Pacific had Meggy, 885 millibars. You never know what the year will spring upon us. And also, did we broadcast Hurricane Thomas in 2010? Well, no, because Force 13 didn't exist in 2010, believe it or not. Force 13 started up in 2011, and we didn't do any storm updates until the middle of 2012. And we didn't do any live updates until early 2015, so still a rather new thing for us.
we didn't exist in 2010. Well, I mean, we were living, we just weren't doing this.
We're living. Thank you very much for that. We're more than 5-6 years old. And more questions. Will it hit Cancun? I think that seed has been planted by David there. Look, Cancun is a possibility, but I would say it's unlikely at the moment unless Harvey becomes significantly stronger than what is being predicted. I do, though, agree with the sentiment that the models are more likely to shift north than south.
The NCEP GFS, they're showing the lending support to my position.
Okay. Well, that's obviously something that we'll be looking at in the days to come, but only speculation at this point. But it could be anywhere along that coast of the Yucatan, and it seems to be the Yucatan again that we're looking at, isn't it? It's a hot spot this year.
How many times has it been a hot spot this year?
But we
so
can't.
far?
We can't. I just have to stress we can't guarantee that Cancun will or will not be safe from Harvey. It could be the case that Harvey dies in the Central Caribbean. We have a lot of more questions. We're just about finished here, but I'll just bring these questions quickly. Do you believe Noru became a Category 5 Super Typhoon? Yes, personally.
Yes.
Do you guys think this year will be close to 2004 or 5? Probably not. I would say something more like 2010 or 1998 or 2001 even. And what do you guys think about the eclipse and the effects of higher surges that may cause some altering effects with MS92 and Harvey? That's an interesting question. We don't really have time to go into depth with that, unfortunately. What place do you think Harvey will hit? Well, we've been discussing the whole show. It's speculation. All that we know right now is that tropical storm warnings are rightfully in effect for Barbados and for several of those other islands, Martinique, St. Lucia and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Tropical storm watch for Dominica, and I wouldn't look much further ahead than that right now. Though we can speculate just a little bit on that. And the coast of Yucatan, everyone along the coast of the Yucatan Peninsula should be watching, but it could be the case that the storm moves into Honduras and Nicaragua. It could yet be the case that the storm moves towards the northern Yucatan. We just don't know. That's it from us for now. We've been joined by the Skype team for the last 2 hours. Thanks very much for joining us, guys.
Anytime.
Yes.
It's been good.
And I'm sure
Well,
we will have
thank you.
another time.
Have a good evening, people.
I'm sure we'll have another time very soon indeed. Thanks, guys. And from myself, no, we don't want to look at that so much. Or I don't suppose you want to look at me so much either, but finishing off the show here. Thanks for watching. We'll be back again very soon with some more information. You can follow us on our social platforms. Just search Force 13 on Facebook and Twitter. You can add me on Skype, Fool13, FOOL13, if I don't trip over words, at extension 9094 on Discord. And we will have more updates throughout the life of Harvey. We will probably go live again some point tomorrow. We'll have some recorded updates in the meantime. But until then, that's all from us for now. We'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching. Good night. You can follow Force 13's outlets, the website force13.co.uk, at your service at any time. You can also find us on